Recording in progress.
Hi. Good.
Sophie and Tam are both on.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Ms. Malkow?
Here.
Ms. Sestero?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Ergens?
Here.
Mr. Restegar?
Here.
Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? All right. Seeing none, I just wanted to mention that I guess Cody was trying to keep it under wraps, but his birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, 44.
Here's to another 44, right? On to the approval of minutes dated July 22nd, 2026.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, on to the monthly activity and financial report. Cody, Stephanie?
Madam Chair and directors of the board, thank you for your time today. Thanks for the different room for the AV team setting us up for this. I know we've got a very busy event schedule going on, so that's when we get moved, which I appreciate that. Okay, going through operating results from July. Events prior, kind of from looking at the month that we had a total of 9 events. Prior year was 12, and the prior year before that was 11. So as I get into the financials, I'll kind of explain some of that. We're obviously a little lower than we were prior years. Revenue was a little higher than the year prior, even though it was less events, but we did not pick up some events that we thought we were going to. So I'll get into that as well as we get into the financial update. As far as the monthly events report and the attendance goes, again, strong for July compared to the year prior. So again, drawing a strong attendance for July helps on the economic impact number. So again, as the revenues, again, weren't quite what we thought they would be and forecasted for this month, the attendance and the economic impact still came through. And we had Sensi, the family reunion, for 8,500 people over 5 days, which is one of our largest conferences and room night convention drivers that we've ever had. So it was a really successful event from that side. It was not quite as large as what they originally intended when they planned the event. They shrunk it a little bit from when the original site visits were to actualizing the event on site. So some of that is also what came into the metrics for the total revenues for the month. As far as our overall guest satisfaction scores, continue to do extremely well. I'm very proud of the team and their efforts for this. We've had 60 responses as of 8/17, averaging a 4.92 score. Again, we've had 5 4s and then 55 of those being 5s overall. So the team continues to do really great work. Market strategy, again, I reported this last month that the sales team had met their goals at 100%, so they continue to outperform those goals this year. And they are on future booked revenue to date about 108% of the goal at $5.2 million. Future booked economic impact at $20.7 million. It is 110% of that goal. And then future booked room nights at 36,000 just over, and that's 109% of the goal. Boise Center and Boise was shortlisted for the U.S. Animal Health Association. We hosted them for a site visit for October of 29, an estimation of 3,800 room nights and $1.9 million in economic impact. And then as I spoke about, that Sensi family reunion was hosted in July, becoming the highest room night generator event taking place in Boise Center of 5,250 room nights. So really great metrics there and really great work by the sales team. Again, this is just the reporting kind of metrics, as you can see it just in a bar graph way that looks at the year prior and year to date prior, and where we're outpacing is on all metrics at this point in time, and then that green bar being the goal. So as you'll see, the orange is higher than the green, meaning that we've met all of our goals for year to date. Continue to be very impressed by the metrics that get filled in by the sales team and the work that they continue to put in. We did host the Visit Boise. We hosted part of Visit Boise Summer Fam here at Boise Center, and we hosted a dinner that I know several board members attended. This is a picture from that event. It was a really great night and a really great chance to sit down with several different meeting planners that have potential business for Boise and just get a chance to really experience the culinary component of what we do here in-house. Also, just the ability, we did it out in the lobby as a different space with that kind of natural light coming into the lobby spaces. So it was a really great night and an intimate evening with several of the meeting planners placed at each table with different members of the board, different members of the team, and as well as Visit Boise staff members spread out amongst the tables. We had 14 planners and some media in attendance, and again, really, really great time on that. So I just want to say thank you to Visit Boise for their efforts and their work going into putting into those FAM events. A couple operational updates. Capital projects, when the summer hits, we tend to do a lot of stuff on the capital side, is getting things done around the building. We did a phase 2 network switch project is complete, so that's making sure that our network switches that run all of our internet and Wi-Fi are up to date, and making sure that we've got redundancy in place and backup to protect the event needs of the staff and of the events. Sensi Family Reunion, as I mentioned, coordinated. This is just a lot of stuff that went into this type of event, and these are citywide events that a lot of larger cities do for larger conventions, so I think this is a great opportunity for us to learn at more of this kind of larger, fully city-coordinated type of event. And we coordinated 23 buses in four lane closures from Front Street to Bannock to help with those buses and the drop-offs that happened as part of that. The team did 70 stage decks and 100 ballroom. We had 300 megabits of internet, so one of our highest megabits of internet that was used by an event. And then they utilized all the spaces, Boise Center East and Boise Center West. There was a 4-day move-in, and then they moved out in 8 hours. So that all hands on deck picture that you're looking at there, that was literally every staff member that was on working at the time, and we got it done in 10 minutes, which was something that the people that were watching us do it had said they'd never seen before. There was a third-party AV company in the room, several people that had traveled to these events and seen different convention centers operate, and they said they'd never seen anything like that. So we were very, very proud of that. And then I also just wanted to recognize Shira Hotvet from our event management team, earned her CVP, which is the Certified Venue Professional certification through IAVM. It's actually the second employee to achieve that award or to that certification for Boise Center, so we're extremely proud of Shira and her continued development. On the food and beverage side, Boise Weekly hosted the 2026 Best of Boise Awards, which is about a 550-person banquet. And then that Sensi component there, as you'll see, 105,000 just in the food and beverage side. That was 1,000 box lunches. Again, food and beverage recycled all the lunch boxes, so we were able to really reduce our waste on our sustainability award that we've recently received. 3 days of worth concessions, water stations, and additional buffets. And then there's a really great picture because we had some professional photography taken for the FAM event. And so just the photos that came from that were outstanding, and we'll use those for marketing materials going forward. I'll get into operating revenues, and I'll just point to one number here that you'll see is that we had a total of 503,000, and when I drop over July here and you start looking at it, a very solid revenue month and historically, but overall from a budget side, I overshot, to be honest, and so it was ironic. I've been bragging about our closeness to the budget being within 1%. We were the total of 251,250 of that came from this month over budgeted. Now, what I spoke about is Sensi dropped in attendance from its original forecast and basically cut in half. And we had 2 forecasted July conventions. We had several of them in the hopper. We thought we'd pick up 2 additional that we didn't pick up, and that led to that variance that you'll see. But compared to 2025, where we did 12 events, we did 9 events in 26, still the revenues were almost double that. So Sensi was a really great piece of business, but again, it did set us off a little bit from the budget. We are within 2.9%, so still within a very close amount. I do believe we're going to capture this in the fall a little bit and eat away at that, so we should be close to that 13.3 number that I forecasted. I'd probably adjust to a 13.2 at this point in time, just knowing where we're at. With that, the financials, again, we're sitting at 19.1. Last month was a hit to the gross profit margin. We were back up to that 22, so it dropped 3%. That shows you the amount of labor that we carry. The expenses within the building for July in particular continues to be a month that historically always has a lower gross profit and takes a hit, and then we rebuild that on coming into the fall. So I anticipate we'll get that all back. But again, the financials with July had some subsidizing that was just more than normal just because of the lack of business that we ended up forecasting that did not take place. As far as economic impact goes, the team continues to do a really outstanding job here, and we're pacing to our goal as intended. But as you look at July, and I spoke about this with the attendance to those events. So one of the things that, and we're not driving revenue, if we're driving people into the building, we're driving economic impact. And so with that Sensi group in particular, and some of the events that we hosted in July, really drove the metric up on the total attendance, which continues to really support the economic impact of the district. And we're sitting about 72% of our $55 million goal. And year to date, we're sitting about 39 million. As far as the lodging revenues go, this is again something that I just continue to pay very close attention to, because as you'll see, that orange bar for 26 continues to outpace the prior 2 years, 4 or 5 months in a row now, when it was looking like it was pacing December, January, and February at flat. March, April, May, June, July have all outperformed the prior years significantly. So this is a really good sign from the lodging room revenues. And I'll just kind of point to a couple of the demand, same situation here on that. And we're seeing really, really, really strong ADRs and occupancies. As you'll see, that orange line is starting to separate for the first time, as I mentioned, the past couple months from the lower lines. That top line sitting at your ADR. So for July of 2026, it came in at 166.80 cents for the average daily rate of a hotel within the Ada County core. And then as below your occupancies, which is also something that I think is really interesting to pay attention to, we were at 83%, which prior year 77 and 77. So up 6% from the occupancies from the prior years. And if you look, it was actually 2 months in a row at 83%, almost 84%. The last time that I saw this kind of occupancy within the summers and this kind of demand was about 2015, 2016, when we saw more hotels coming into the market. So good sign there. We've got the new AC Element. So again, we're really paying close attention to how that inventory is affecting these numbers, but it appears to be a really, really strong summer for demand for the hotel side.
So with these numbers, is it in the arrears? Is it in arrears? I mean, does July reflect AC Element being on fully
Yes.
open?
Yes.
So with them being open, we're still at that?
We're still at 83%. So
Okay.
it added 300 rooms into the market, and they've absorbed at a rate that pretty much is where it was prior and higher. So good signs. Oh, I got something going on here where I can't. There we go. Again, this is the static slide that just shows where we're forecasting. I am probably going to adjust this up slightly because of this last 2 months have really moved the needle a little bit. I don't think it'll move it a ton, but I think it may move that forecast ADR up to about 155 and that occupancy percent up to about 68 to 69% is what will have that impact on the year. I get an update that the Aquatic Center parking lot has been officially completed, so we're very, very excited about that. And I know that the folks that are operating the facility hopefully are as excited as we are. This project added about 40 additional parking spots, 36 in one section, another 4 over kind of by where the sheds used to be, and then also one additional one by reconfiguring some of the ADA parking that would be on the south side of the building. With that, we finished landscaping, sod and trees, repaired some irrigation, so that the front landscaping looks a lot more clean, looks finished. We installed a food truck parking area with some bollard access there in the front of the building that the facility can use for large events. And then we painted a lot of fire lane curbing red, and I'll show that in the next photos as well. We restriped the existing lot and reformatted some ADA parking, as I spoke about, which got us an additional spot on that side. The new configuration really allows for that more conducive ingress-egress as coming in one way and exiting out another. The sheds getting moved will allow more turf space and also address some parking issues that were damaging the landscaping in an area that didn't have curbing and people were pulling up into. That now has curbing and it also has those sheds there, so that will solve that problem. And then again, I mentioned this but we painted all the fire lanes curbing red, so as you go around the facility, it's very, very clear to see where you're allowed to park and where you're not allowed to park. Couple things on the district updates here would be we've hired a new director of finance position. So I'm excited to announce that Hunter Campbell will be joining the team as of Tuesday, September 8th. Hunter joins us from Bogus Basin. He is the current director of finance from Bogus Basin and has been for the last 3 years. Comes with some really great pedigree, lot of really great comments about his work style and the people that have worked for him, with him, or he's worked for. So again, some really great references that came through, and we are excited to have Hunter joining the team. I will have a period of time where Hunter and Stephanie will work simultaneously together, probably through the month of September, and then we'll allow Hunter to kind of say, hey, when he's comfortable and ready to go, I'll make sure I give notice to Stephanie at an appropriate time to kind of work on that transition out, and then we will make that transition to the full director of finance being Hunter at that time. As far as new land updates go, Mardi Gras officially closed earlier this month, so we are the owners of that building officially. Our due diligence period ended for the 9th and River Street parcel, so that's the Idaho Records Management portion, and we finalized our repurchase language for the PSA that me and Chase were working on as per the board on the exploratory committee. And then 11th and River close date still is any time between now and August of 27, but it'll take a 30-day notice from the seller when they're ready, and we don't anticipate that real quick based off of some communications that we've had with them. But again, it's something that we anticipate in 27 at some point. As far as board governance and communications training, we do have officially selected a day for that, so thank you to all the board members for the back and forth emails and trying to pin everybody's schedules down. But we have identified Tuesday, September 29th. This training will take place at the Hawley-Troxel board offices, or the Hawley-Troxel offices, so we will meet over there. I've got that information inside of the invite to the board. Just a quick update on the Boise Center East glass replacement. We're going to provide an update from legal next month, but as you'll notice that I sent this out to the board members earlier today. There was an article released by Boise Dev about our East glass replacement. So just if you have any questions about that, please reach out to me independently. I'm not making any comments on the active litigation at this point in time. So if you do have questions, please reach out to me individually and I can update you on where we're at. But we are kind of in the process of still getting that piece finalized, and there will be a board report next month from the attorneys on that. Lastly, I've signed the contracts with Paradigm for the facility test fit and the financial advisory services. So the RFQ should be posted soon. We're anticipating first week of September is kind of what we're looking at this time, but I'll send out to the board once we finalize that official posting date. There's a lot of folks that are very, very interested in this. I just came back from a conference in Indianapolis for IAVM, and there was a large amount of architectural people, convention center builders that definitely knew what we were doing and wanted my attention. But I got a chance to at least tell them, hey, we're going to run this process. I did not go to any of the private dinners that I got invited to, any of the things that they try to bring people along, just to make sure that we're being in compliance with everything that we do here, and also just from a perception standpoint. So a lot of interest in Boise to help us with the project, and a lot of national expertise out there. So I think there's a lot of people that are very excited about that RFQ coming out. So with that, I'll stand for any questions from the directors.
Any questions?
Yeah. On the occupancy, is there any way to talk to the hoteliers, figure out where people are coming from and what they're here for?
Order reports, some, yes.
Is Ally here?
Just seems
Ally?
really-
I'll let Mary Michael's got her hand up. I'm going to put her on the spot here.
Sorry, I was stuck in that chair. Good afternoon, members of the board. Madam Chair, I would think we can ask Visit Boise for some help to take a look at what group business. Obviously, the Sensi, I just happened to run into a colleague last weekend who's a director of sales at 3 hotel properties, and she was saying that the Micron effect and impact is still significant for them for all 3 of their properties. So I would say probably could check with Carrie.
Yeah, we're anticipating some of it is the Micron activity that is happening, and what happens after a 30-day extensive stay in a hotel, that's not collected as hotel district taxes. So that is one thing I'm trying to pay close attention to with the occupancies being as high as they are. Are they matching what I've seen in the past with occupancies, with revenues and ADRs where you would expect them to be? I haven't seen any correlating information that says that there's so many people staying in there, the long-term stay, that it's impacting the tax revenues, because we're having very, very strong tax collections, as you'll see from the next report from our executive, or from our director of finance. So that's kind of, but I think the order reports would give us some information, and Visit Boise would be the 2 places that might have a little bit of an order as the overnight room demand pickup that kind of shows where they're coming from zip code and kind of how far that they travel, that they're making an assumption that if you came in from that far for an event, you're staying in a hotel.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting information. And then what if the airport, do they have anything?
They do. We can ask for some reports
Passenger
for them to
counts.
passenger counts. And I have read those, but it's been a quarter or 2 since I've been up to date, but they're at record numbers as well, yeah.
Okay.
I've made those notes, and I'll get some more information for you. Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
All right. Stephanie?
Good afternoon. Okay, the financial overview for the district, as Cody said, a little shorter for the Boise Center year-to-date revenues, just shy of about $240,000. District revenues are outperforming the budget by about $350,000. You'll see that that is from the hotel tax collection. That is, we're up about $350,000. So, rental facility discounts year-to-date, we've offered $336,000. The budgeted amount was $467,000. Last month, as Cody alluded to, we did have a subsidy. The district transferred about $320,000 to the center for operating expenses. Hotel tax collections, July was $1.4 million. So, as I said, year-to-date is $351,000 over what was budgeted for. Capital transfers for projects, we're about halfway through. And this is of the 3.9 million that was budgeted for 2026.
We'll just add some context to this,
Yes.
because some of our largest ones we're in the process of right now with chair orders, so that's $1 million. So while we're looking like we've only spent 50%, we are planning on spending all of that. It's just the next probably month to 2 months, you'll see a lot of that actualized now coming through.
Definitely over the next, 2 months, because we've been really hard on all the departments to make sure that those products are received in the center by October, so. Our cash position, you guys, we added these little for the projects just because our cash position has dwindled a bit or has been allocated. So cash and investments stands at the 32,300 and I cannot read that far, 55,000. Okay. And cash available for projects is 26, just a little bit over 26 million. So the 11th and River Street, the remaining due, Cody, did you create these?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm happy to speak.
So the red is what is remaining on it. The green is what we've already paid. The 9th and River is also, so this is of that 26. So I don't want you guys thinking there's 26 there.
That's why I
and then
wanted
all
to
of
put-
this is still sitting there.
So it shows you the main available cash for projects that we've got still in the bank, but we've obviously committed to some of that dollar. So I wanted to show that below. And as you'll see, just kind of the green is what we've paid to date. That also includes legal fees, along with any of the consultant fees or any of the stuff that we've done. And then that remaining is when the closing date, they do notify us at the 30 days on the 11th and River. We will have to pay that additional 22.7. And then of the 9th and River, which is the IRM, that's that remaining due around July 2031 because of the 5-year option. And then the last is that in the Mardi Gras, where we have pretty much at the final pieces besides some remaining outstanding legal fees that'll be coming in from this last month.
This is the Clearwater Advisor Statement, and the, goodness gracious, the net income for last month was $95,982.
And just to note, we'll continue to see that change as that finalizes, especially the closing of 11th and River.
Right.
That number will, obviously, that interest income. Now, that could come with some revenue from the tenants, because there are some tenants in place that exist there that will kick off some additional revenue as well. So it's just something to pay attention to for the district and the board.
Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, great. Thank you so much. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Reports approved. On to other business. Chelsea Aquatics.
I would say, do I get a clicker?
You do.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Trying to make sure I can get in here. Good afternoon. So a little bit of a stand-in today, but we have had a lot of events that have taken place over the summer. So I've been wicked busy, but they're a lot of fun. And I know going in order is going to be a little bit different, but the amount that we can just say above and beyond that we appreciate how quickly that parking lot was finished has made a huge difference. It was finished before the primary meet of the season, and it's phenomenal. And right now with high school going in full swing, which I'll get into later, it just makes it a lot easier. I mean, people are still looking for parking just because of the volume that we have, but it's been phenomenally helpful. So just thank you, thank you, thank you again, over and over. So from a financial standpoint, and kind of going back to, I think, what the question was for the hotel revenues that was asked earlier, I'm not sure exactly how these numbers are looking in comparison, but when we do have pretty large events, so our largest event was in the beginning of August, and we had about 700 athletes that came in, not including coaches, parents, Nana, whoever else came in that got a hotel room for potentially up to a week. So I'm not sure specifically. I believe Ryan sends those numbers to you, right, Cody?
To Maria, but yes, I caught
Okay,
on it.
yeah. So he sends those. So I know that we attribute for probably a lot smaller amount than a Sensi convention, but it's still something so that is going to go towards the positive. As far as specific direct numbers, this is kind of out of my wheelhouse. This is Ryan's. wheelhouse as an accountant. So I can't answer any questions on this, but I'm going to scoot forward if that's okay. Okay, so these are all of the events that we hosted this summer. The first one for the second year in a row, we hosted the Paralympic National Championships. It's not typically a very big event for us, but it is. If you ever have felt pity for yourself, you will never feel it again after watching these athletes compete. We have quadriplegics with no arms, no legs. We've got people that are coming from a more mental standpoint. It's just a really cool event to watch. We had a young man, I don't remember his name, but I believe he was 14 or 15, and the only appendage he still had left was a partial arm. And after he would get out of the pool, he would get on a small skateboard, and then he'd push himself around the pool deck with his arm after he just set like a world record in his event. So that was super cool. We always love having the Paralympics. Those gals that set everything up do a lot of work, so that's a lot of fun to watch. And as far as the athletes are concerned, like they're from all over the place. Definitely not just Idaho, and definitely not just the West Coast side. I think we had one or two actually that were international, if I'm talking correctly, but don't hold me on that.
And I know last year there were several world records that were set.
Yes.
Did that happen again this year?
There was. I can't do the number right off the top of my head, but I know there was at least 5, between 5 to 10 that were set. Yeah. And the way that those work are going to depend on classification. So I don't know how much you guys know about Paralympic sports, but the first day that we close the facility for the event is not actually the event itself. It's a classification day. So athletes can come in and they basically swim in front of a judge, you could say, and they will classify them based on what level of disability they feel like they have, whether it's a mental or a physical. Obviously, people that have no arms and no legs are not competing against the person that's just, missing a couple of fingers. So it's really interesting, and I definitely don't understand it 110%, but to see how they classify the individuals and who they like swim against based on their disability is super interesting to me, and I would definitely need to deep dive into that to learn more, but it's a really, truly amazing event that we always look forward to, even though it's not a huge show, I guess, for the volume of people. But yeah, that one's always a lot of fun. The second event that we had was Western Senior Sectionals. I guess it is sectionals. So the people that take place in the sectionals meet are all going to be kids that are 14 and over. So this is not a meet for like smaller children, if you will. So this event specifically has specific qualifying time standards. And so obviously because it's Western, all of the states that are listed up there are more closer to the West Coast. But the teams can come from literally all over the place. A lot of great swims. We had some facility records broken from just our facility standpoint, and then some meet records broken as well. So this meet, technically, they could qualify for the Olympics, like trials and stuff, if they wanted to. If they swam well enough, they could. I don't know if we had any of those this year, but it's a great meet to watch. Those older kids are really going towards some specific goals, so it's fun to see what they can do. So Snake River SRS Summer Championships, that stands for Snake River Swimming. So Snake River Swimming is the primary LSC that's in Idaho. So this is more of a local meet for kids and teams that are in the state of Idaho. I mean, not to forego like Twin Falls, Pocatello, Idaho Falls, like those kind of teams are also coming down. And then we did have a couple of participants and stuff from Nevada that are super close by.
What is LSC? MSA Swim Club is the second part. What's the L stand for?
Oh.
LSC, do you know what? Okay, sorry.
No, sorry. So Snake River Swimming is everything that's inside. I might mess this up, so I apologize. I believe it's everything that's in the Treasure Valley, but also like Caldwell and Nampa and all of those are included. So I'm not sure how far it goes out.
Gotcha.
But it's something that's always typically hosted locally in the Boise area. Yeah. But so most of the kids that are competing are going home at night, with the exception if it's like a Twin Falls or an Idaho Falls where they might stay with family, they might have a hotel, they might do an Airbnb. I'm not really sure how those guys work. So our big meet at the end of, at the beginning of August was awesome. We had one day of unfortunate smoky weather, but thank the gods or whatever you would like to, that everything kind of cleared for us for that week because that was our biggest meet. And when it comes to capacity and how quickly we can fill our building, it happens very quickly. So being able to have the kids outside for that event and then the spectators and coaches inside is something that's really helpful because it makes it so we can host a bigger event. Whereas if we had to have everybody inside, they can't all fit. So we would have to have some sort of a max capacity or a cutoff. So if you're not understanding what I'm saying, so what we typically do for a meet of that size is, weather permitting, we create a very large wedding tent area, if you will, outside, and that's what we consider the athlete village. So all the kids are running around, they're trading their caps because Hawaii's cap has a Spam container on it, or, you know, whatever it is. So they're all running around outside, playing with each other, doing their thing, trading stuff, playing games, kicking a soccer ball around. So all of the kids are outside, but then when it's their turn to swim, they come inside and they warm up in the smaller pool where our lessons normally are, and then they compete in the big pool, and then when they're done, they talk to their coach, and then they go back outside. But with the max capacity size we have for our building, all of that could not happen if we did not have that outside turf space to put all of the athletes. And with the garage doors along this side, we just open them all up, and they just come in and out as they please. It's crazy, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work too, but it's a lot of fun to just watch them all. So that meet specifically, those kids are going to be 14 and under. So those are all littler kids. Yeah, and the way that the teams work for that is each state, with the exception of California, because California is so big, they have like a northern, a central, and a southern, if you will. So Idaho would only have one team, but all of the kids can be from any of the club teams in Idaho. And then same thing with Washington, and those, they just come together as like a state team, if you will. But then they compete as a whole unit, like I said, with the exception of California. They have a couple of different teams. Okay. So these are obviously past events. I'm going to keep going on those. And then these are going to be more of our upcoming events that are going to be happening here pretty soon. So high school swim is a fall sport in Idaho, so that kicked off, that would have been, August 10th is when high school swim kicked off for the season, and it'll expand all the way out to, I believe state is November 7th, and state this year will be at the West Y. I believe this is their last contract year for the Y, if I remember correctly. And then the Idaho State High School Swimming Association made the decision to have districts out at the Y as well. Don't know why, they just make those decisions. So Brave Night Invite, coming from a high school standpoint, is specifically a high school pre-championship level meet, if you will. So some of these kids, if they've never done a championship meet before, when they get to districts, it's kind of a surprise. So this is a swim meet that Bishop Kelly High School and Boise High School have kind of come together and have started offering every year. So it's a Friday afternoon, Saturday all-day event, and the kids are from all the local high schools and whatnot. But again, we invite like Sandpoint, Lake City, Moscow, so like anybody from the state that would normally come to state at the end of the season can come down and participate in this as well. So it's the option to get those kids into a championship meet setup kind of a thing, if you will, before we get into the actual nitty-gritty of districts and state. So that's going to be the half Friday, so that'd be a 25th and 26th of September, typically between 450 to 500 athletes, and then depending on how many parents and coaches travel, will depend on how many we get for that. The Sawtooth Thanksgiving meet, that's a local team that swims at our facility. They host a spring meet as well as a Thanksgiving meet. So it's just something that the local teams will sign up for, potentially kids and teams from Twin Falls, Idaho Falls, things of that nature. And then right at the tail end of November, right before we go into Thanksgiving, I believe this is our second or third year hosting the Vandal Collegiate Invite, From what we've heard, it's supposed to be a little bit bigger meet than it has been in the past. I guess the last time that they did it, they weren't able to get all the information out as quickly and early as they would like. But this has been scheduled since last year. So they should have plenty of time to get the information out. So ideally, we can have more teams. Vandals specifically, they only have a women's team, but that doesn't specifically, this meet does not specifically only encompass women's teams. This is a mixture of men's and women's. So the men's obviously can be its own thing, women's can be its own thing, and then they also can compete as a whole to win the meet overall as well. So it's really cool to see some collegiate swimming. They kind of tend to come in and knock some records off our board pretty quickly from a facility standpoint, because they're just a lot older than all of the kids that are normally in there. So that's really fun to see as well. Bringing back to the parking lot, again, we've been working on getting some bids for the, oh my gosh, landscaping and things of that nature. So Ryan should have a deciding specific company that we're going to start with next week or potentially midweek. High school swimming, like I said, is underway, and it'll start, or excuse me, it started the 10th of August. It'll end, technically the last day at our facility will be November 5th, I believe, because then state goes into the West Y. We have a new water polo program called, oh my gosh, it just left my brain. I apologize. It is called Steelhead Water Polo, and it is actually founded by two local folks that kind of grew up here, and I guess not recently, but they grew up in California and other places where water polo was a lot more of a primary sport. So it's definitely something that's still growing in the state of Idaho. Since we're a landlocked state, it's not really super popular yet. If you've never played, it's like playing soccer, but you play with your hands, and you can hold people underwater, and it's kind of fun. But they are geared specifically towards like youth and teens is what their primary goal is for their program. So that's going to be cool to see come up. They have specifically selected our facility to host their practices at. I believe the Y has a program as well, but I don't know what that looks like at the moment. Then this weekend, we are hosting the Swim Across America event. So that is specifically a cancer event. It's almost like a lapathon, a runathon, if you will, but it's in regards to swimming. So a lot of the donations that come from that are specifically going to benefit St. Luke's. So for us as a facility, we are donating that time to that organization because it is a nonprofit, and all of the money that they raise does majority go back into our own city in St. Luke's, which is really cool to see. And then it's not on here, but I did have a certified mermaid reach out to me recently, so we may start offering some mermaid classes at the facility. So we're waiting to see how that kind of levels out, if you will, but I was surprised and very intrigued to see how this might go. But I mean, every little girl wants to be a mermaid, so we'll see if she decides to move forward with that or not. I believe that is it.
And are you guys continuing to add different programming?
Yes and no, it kind of just depends right now. So if it's anything that's looking for program spaced after 4 p.m. during the week, I am out of room. So unless we're looking for an after-hours event, which that's what we've had to do with the new water polo program, our synchronized swimming program, and then potentially the mermaid, if she would like to participate as well. If they are looking for time between now and that beginning of November timeframe, between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., I don't have any more. So unless it's a swimming lesson and we can add more in that small pool, we don't have any additional lanes to rent at all, unless it's after 7 p.m. or if they wanted something during the day. But once we get past November, absolutely, we're always looking to add new programs. I did have Visit Boise reach out to me today about potentially Boise State hosting some sort of a water polo tournament. Not sure on the date on that yet. They've done it previously. That was not, I don't think that was last year. I think that was the year before. So depending on if we can line up a date that'll work for them, that might be something else that'll be happening as well.
So they have BSU has a water polo team?
They do, yes. So we have Masters water polo that happens once a week on Thursdays. And because campus is so close, it's the normal Masters guys that are typically like graduated college and do all their own thing and they grew up playing or whatnot. But because Boise State is so close to our facility, those kids drive up and they play with Masters a lot. And sometimes they whoop up on them and sometimes it goes the other way. So it's fun to watch because I don't feel like before our facility existed, I mean, I don't know if they practiced at BSU anywhere, but it's cool to see generations, if you will, teaching each other and maybe drowning each other a little bit too. That's kind of fun to watch. But it's a unique thing because obviously college kids don't typically have necessarily the money to, I don't know, all the way out to somewhere. So it's like a 10-minute bike ride. And if they have a car, then they just jet right up to the pool. So.
Any other questions? Comments? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sullivan Rehberger?
Madam Chair, members, Executive Director. Well, we're getting ready to move into another season of politics here in Idaho.
Excuse me, could we have them come up to the microphone?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if they're able to hear you. Thank you.
Scared the shit out of me. Just scared me.
Here to be the voice of God. Sorry.
Is that better?
Can you hear
Yeah,
us,
thank
Sophie?
you.
Okay.
Thank you. The FY26 balance ended June 30th. They had a positive balance of around $240 million. There's some discussion in supplementals how there's some things that haven't been taken into consideration over this last year. Employee compensation, fire suppression budget. There's some of those things that they're going to have to, I think, probably spend some of that money on as we move into the fall. In May, Governor Little issued a FY28 guidance to all agencies of maintenance-only budgets. So basically, the same budget they had last year, they're going to see this next year. Agency requests are due to the Financial Management, the Governor's Budget Office, and to the Legislative Service Office September 1. The Joint Finance Appropriations Committee, which is the Joint House and Senate Committee on Appropriations, their fall tour is scheduled for November 11th and 12th. That's where usually the House and Senate committees get together and start talking about what their budget issues look like for the next year, both from the House and Senate side, and try to start drawing some conclusions on the direction they want to go for the next session. That's also the time of year when that's after the general election, and that's when all the internal politicking will take place. It's after the general election. All the politicking will take place for the leadership spots that come up in December. The 2026 elections, all statewide offices are up, 105 legislative seats. 3 of the 4 congressional districts, congressional seats are up. Congressman Russ Fulcher from the 1st District, Congressman Mike Simpson, 2nd District, and Senator Risch are all up for re-election. But the most important race of all, which is always for Idahoans, will be the governor's race. Governor Brad Little will face Terry Pickens. The Democrat, John Stegner, an independent, is in the race. Former Supreme Court Justice. All indicators show that Governor Little enters the race very strongly positioned. With regard to the congressional seats, all the internals show that Fulcher, Simpson, and Risch are strongly positioned. The May 19th primary, it reshaped the legislature fairly significantly. 9 GOP incumbents lost. Significantly, the hard line, what they called the Gang of 8, it was 8 legislators who basically voted no on everything. 5 of those people were legislators were defeated, so it's now the Gang of 3. 2 of the 3 won by 200 votes or less. And I think the legislature saw that as a very, very strong message to many of the legislators of the direction the legislature wants to go. The Joint Finance Appropriations they lost a number of different members, so that's going to be basically kind of reformed JFAC with just new members. They lost 2 vice chairmen, Jim Woodward from the 1st District, or District 1. He lost in the Senate, and in the House, Steve Miller lost, which is interesting. We had 2 vice chairmen lose of that committee. The House Health and Welfare Committee had the most turnover. 5 members are not returning from the House, including the chairman, Representative John Vanderwade, who has been a very prominent member of the Health and Welfare Committee for decades. I mentioned leadership positions will be cited in the December organizational session. And right now, as we talk to legislators around the state, no one sees any real changes predicted in the leadership of the House and Senate. Early signs of 2027 legislature, you're going to see a push to repeal Idaho property taxes from incoming Senator Herndon from District 1, who defeated Jim Woodward. So that a total repeal of property taxes. And then there may be a possible move to limit sales tax exemptions for economic development, because there is an anti-growth sentiment building around the state's continued population growth. And I want to mention the constitutional offices too. I hadn't mentioned that. The governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, controller in the State Department, superintendent of public instruction, they're all up for re-election too. So all the 5 constitutional offices are up for re-election. And interestingly enough, we're not seeing a lot of movement in those areas. The opposition hasn't come out yet. We haven't seen any real action on the part of anybody challenging those 5 constitutional offices. But again, from Labor Day through November, the first Tuesday in November, we'll start seeing, get ready. You're going to start seeing all the ads. Everyone's saved their money up and they're ready to start spending it. Madam Chairman, that's my report. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
This one you made, I don't want to put you on the spot about something, but I know there was a Capital Sun article about opportunity zones. I don't know if you guys have any information on the governor supporting some opportunity zones that I think were Chamber of Commerce asked about, where there's some, I think it's using the One Big Beautiful Bill, some tax cuts on that. And if you don't know about this, I just ask that you come back and report if we could.
I would. I know that Department of Administration Director Tom Keeley's working hard on those, and he's had some discussions about how they're going to get restructured in these different parts of the state, but I'll get back to you on that,
Okay.
Director.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. This is the shortest we've even had in a long time.
She's looking around like, what do we
I
do
know,
now?
I think we're done. All right, seeing no other business before the board, the meeting is adjourned.
Short isn't bad, it's efficient.
Efficient, I like the efficient.
Exactly.
What time zone are we in?